Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching Question Hour. Well, it's a show that gets you details of the questions asked by the members and replies given by the ministries. I'm your host Rajat Kain, joined with my colleague Kriti Mishra.
Thank you so much, Rajat. And as our viewers know, that Question Hour is a very important part of India's parliamentary democracy, giving an opportunity to the members of both houses, Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, to question the government, to seek answers from the government. There are different types of questions, the start questions, the unstart questions, and also the short notice ones.
Well, start are the ones where replies are given directly on the floor of the House, whereas unstart are the ones where replies are given in a written format. In our show, Question Hour focuses on the unstart questions asked by the members.
The unstart questions asked during the ongoing 253rd session of the Rajya Sabha or the first part of the budget session. But Rajat, how are these questions asked and how are they answered? Here's a small presentation for our viewers.
A member submits his or her questions at least 15 days before the office of Rajya Sabha chairman. The Rajya Sabha Secretariat chooses the questions to be answered through a draw of ballots. Separate ballots are held for starred and unstarred questions. The questions are scrutinized for admissibility under the current rules and precedents. Questions are disallowed if they are not in order. Advance copies of chosen questions are sent to ministry or departments concerned. The ministry concerns collect information to prepare the reply. The minister concerned reply to starred questions on the floor of the House and provides written answers to unstarred questions. Up to 160 unstarred questions are listed every day in a separate list. Well, there you saw how these questions are asked and how they are eventually answered. So, Kriti, it's time to begin our show. Well, the first question in this edition of the show that was asked by member SUSHIL Kumar Gupta from Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. The member sought if government has any plans to utilize the underused educational institutions for skill development initiative.
Well, the government has given a detailed reply about the steps taken by the Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Ministry, and this response has been given by MOS Skill Development, Mr. R.K. Singh. He goes on to say that Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship under the aegis of the National Skill Development Mission has taken several initiatives for utilization of spare public infrastructure for skill training. MSD has signed Memorandum of Understanding with the Ministry of Railways and the Ministry of Defence for utilization of their vacant infrastructure for skill training. The Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana 3.0 scheme envisages greater cross-utilization of available infrastructure with universities, colleges, industrial training institutes, polytechnic schools, etc. Training under this has already been started in spare capacities of 189 ITIs. The Directorate General of Training and the All India Council for Technical Education have permitted polytechnics and engineering colleges to establish ITIs in their spare infrastructure to ensure optimum utilization of space for skill training. In collaboration with sector skill councils under National Skill Development Corporation, implemented PMKY in technical institutions in spare capacities of engineering colleges from 2016-17 to 18-19. In addition, the Department of Public Enterprises has issued an advisory to all central public sector enterprises for sharing their training infrastructure with agencies such as the NSDC and the SSCs that are working for skill development. And joining us on the Question Hour show is Rajya Sabha MP, Mr. SUSHIL Kumar Gupta. Sir, welcome to Rajya Sabha TV and thank you so much for joining us.
Namaskar.
So during the first part of the ongoing 253rd session of the Rajya Sabha, you asked a very pertinent question about the space utilization or infrastructure utilization by the Skill Development Ministry for conducting skill development programs. What is your take on the response?
ये बहुत महत्वपूर्ण मुद्दा है क्योंकि नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी में समय समय पे एग्जिट और एंटर करने का प्रोविजन एजुकेशन के सेक्टर के अंदर रखा है। जो नई एजुकेशन पॉलिसी है उसमें 4+2, 4+3+3+4 ये एक सिस्टम बना है। इसमें बच्चा ग्रेजुएशन लेवल पे एडमिशन लेने के बाद में सर्टिफिकेट कोर्स पे भी निकल सकता है, डिप्लोमा कोर्स पे भी निकल सकता है, कंप्लीट डिग्री कोर्स पे भी निकल सकता है। इसी प्रकार स्कूल जो पोजीशन है, मैं विशेषकर अगर दिल्ली की बात करता हूँ, दिल्ली में मास्टर प्लान के अंदर जो स्कूल है उसमें सिर्फ स्कूल का यूज दिया है, एजुकेशनल यूज उसके अंदर नहीं दिया। अगर एक जनरल सर्कुलर के द्वारा निकल जाए कि हम उसको एजुकेशनल यूज ट्रेनिंग के अंदर स्किल डेवलपमेंट के बहुत से कोर्स उनके अंदर शुरू हो सकते हैं, जो सोसाइटी के लिए भी बेनिफिशियल होगा और इन बच्चों का भविष्य भी उससे बेहतर बन पाएगा। आज टेक्निकल एजुकेशन लेने के लिए लाखों बच्चे प्रतिवर्ष दिल्ली से बाहर हरियाणा, यूपी, राजस्थान प्रदेशों के अंदर जाते हैं, क्योंकि दिल्ली के अंदर कॉलेजेस की कमी है। एक तो वो कॉलेजेस की कमी पूरी होगी अगर मल्टीपल यूज हम अलाउ करेंगे। दूसरा, टेक्निकल एजुकेशन पूरे हिंदुस्तान के अंदर जो स्किल इंडिया का मिशन है, अभी एआईसीटी के साथ तो गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया ने किया है कि एआईसीटी के जितने कॉलेजेस हैं उनके अंदर ऐसा साधन बने, परंतु सभी एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन के अंदर अगर स्पेस अवेलेबल है या समय 2 पारी के अंदर उसको हम कर सकते हैं, तो उसमें एक कोर्सेज अगर अलाउ करेंगे, तो मैं समझता हूँ कि जो राइट टू एजुकेशन एक्ट बना है उसके अंदर भी लाभ होगा। हर 3 किलोमीटर के बाद जिसमें प्राइमरी स्कूल होना चाहिए, 5 किलोमीटर के बाद सेकेंडरी स्कूल होना चाहिए। इस तरीके से जो उसमें प्रोविजन है, पूरे हिंदुस्तान के लेवल पे उसको मीट आउट नहीं किया गया। हालांकि राइट टू एजुकेशन एक्ट लगे हुए दशक से ऊपर गुजर चुका है, परंतु राज्य सरकारों और केंद्र सरकारों के दोनों के प्रयास के बाद भी और प्राइवेट सेक्टर के प्रयास के बाद भी उस जितनी डिस्टेंस पे स्कूल होने चाहिए आज भी हिंदुस्तान के अंदर नहीं है। दूर दराज के इलाकों में बड़ा लंबा चल के बच्चों को पढ़ना पड़ता है। अगर हम उसको 2 पारी में अलाउ करेंगे तो लगातार जो हमारी जो डेफिशिएंसी है वो कहीं ना कहीं मीट आउट होगी और गवर्नमेंट के रिसोर्सेज और प्राइवेट सेक्टर के रिसोर्सेज का मल्टीपल यूज होगा। इसी प्रकार स्किल की बात करते हैं। मैं सबसे पहले, क्योंकि हिंदुस्तान खेती प्रधान देश है, मैं पहले भी कई बार कह चुका हूँ कि हम जो जैविक खेती को स्किल इंडिया के अंदर जोड़े और जैविक खेती की ट्रेनिंग हिंदुस्तान के सारे किसानों को दें, ताकि बीमारी का खात्मा हो सके, किसानों को फसल का अच्छा दाम मिल सके। जैसे हम सिक्किम की बात करते हैं, हम नॉर्थ ईस्ट के हमारे स्टेटों की बात करते हैं, कुछ स्टेट के अंदर 100% जैविक खेती होती है, परंतु उत्तरी भारत के अंदर जैविक खेती का बहुत कम प्रचलन है। अगर स्किल इंडिया के माध्यम से हम उन कोर्सेज को जोड़ें तो हिंदुस्तान के सारे किसानों को जैविक खेती की हम ट्रेनिंग दे सकते हैं, और जो एग्जिस्टिंग एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन है, चाहे वो स्कूल हो चाहे वो कॉलेजेस हो, उन सब के अंदर वो ट्रेनिंग दी जा सकती है। किसान आत्मनिर्भर होगा। हमारे यहाँ आज मैं बहुत से बात करता हूँ, मैं लोहार की बात करता हूँ, मैं कारपेंटर की बात करता हूँ, मैं प्लम्बर की बात करता हूँ। इतने इतने टेक्निकल कोर्सेज है, बट दे आर नॉट क्वालिफाइड। अगर हम उनको डिप्लोमा देना चाहें, उनको सर्टिफिकेट कोर्सेज कराना चाहें, तो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर की भारी कमी है। एआईसीटी अप्रूव्ड कॉलेजेस के अंदर एआईसीटी ने अलाउ किया है, परंतु मैं समझता हूँ कि सारे कॉलेजेस के अंदर और सारे स्कूल्स के अंदर स्किल ट्रेनिंग की अगर इजाजत दी जाती है तो हिंदुस्तान के लिए मील का पत्थर साबित होगा, और हिंदुस्तान की जो काफी जनता स्किल एक्सपर्ट होते हुए भी वो अनपढ़ की कैटेगरी के अंदर आ रही है, बिना सर्टिफिकेट या बिना डिप्लोमा के उनको अच्छी नौकरियां नहीं मिल पाती हैं, तो वो भी एक सम्मान के साथ अपनी जिंदगी को जी सकेंगे और अपने आप में एक एक्सपर्ट जिंदगी के जो हुनर है उनका, उसकी और अच्छी स्किल के साथ में अपनी का विकास कर सकेंगे। ऐसे अनेकों, मैं जिनकी बात करूं तो फायर फायर टेक्नोलॉजी, फायर सेफ्टी एंड टेक्नोलॉजी, आज हर इंडस्ट्री के अंदर इसकी जरूरत पड़ रही है। हम वो कोर्सेज शुरुआत कर सकते हैं। तो अनेकों अनेकों ऐसे कोर्सेज हैं। वैदिक मैथमेटिक्स की अगर मैं बात करता हूँ, प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी स्किल इंडिया के माध्यम से वैदिक मैथमेटिक्स की बात की थी, ताकि बच्चों की लर्निंग कैपेसिटी बने, बच्चों की जो स्किल है और इन्हांस हो सके। हिंदुस्तान का परंपरागत कोर्स है, परंतु आज लुप्त होता जा रहा है। ऐसे कोर्सेज को हम स्किल इंडिया के माध्यम से आगे बढ़ा सकते हैं। बच्चों में कंप्यूटर और उसके माध्यम से जो कार्य करते हैं, ब्रेन शार्प होता है, इससे खुद आगे बढ़ने का कार्य करें।
So the Ministry of Skill Development has also tied up with other ministries like the Ministry of Railways for infrastructure utilization. What is your take?
देखिए, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ डिफेंस, मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ रेलवे के पास जितने रिसोर्सेज है, रेलवे की तो प्रॉपर्टी काफी बिकने के ऊपर आई हुई है। मैं कहता हूँ कि उनके रिसोर्सेज को भी यूटिलाइज करें, परंतु वो हिंदुस्तान के अंदर इतनी बड़ी संख्या के अंदर नहीं है कि हिंदुस्तान का गुजारा हो सके। जो एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशन है तकरीबन गांव में है, हर शहर के अंदर है। डिफेंस की प्रॉपर्टी हर शहर में नहीं है, रेलवे की प्रॉपर्टी हर शहर के अंदर नहीं है, परंतु एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन हर शहर के अंदर है। 2 4 5 गांवों के बाद में एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन मिल जाती है। अगर हम उसका मल्टीपल यूज अलाउ करें तो गवर्नमेंट का काम आसान होगा और शिक्षित हिंदुस्तान टेक्निकल क्षेत्र के अंदर भी आगे बढ़ेगा।
Lastly, sir, any specific suggestion to the government?
मेरा यही कहना है कि जो ये कोऑर्डिनेशन बिटवीन एजुकेशन इंस्टीट्यूशन एंड अर्बन डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्ट्री के बीच के अंदर होनी चाहिए, और राज्य सरकारों के अर्बन डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्ट्री और भारत सरकार के अर्बन डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्ट्री दोनों मिलके जो स्कूल्स का लैंड यूज है उसका एक तो सिमिलर एरिया पूरे हिंदुस्तान में, कहीं 1 एकड़ है तो कहीं 5 एकड़ है तो कहीं 10 एकड़ है स्कूल के लिए, जिसकी वजह से ज्यादा स्कूल नहीं बन पाते। 1 एकड़ में अगर सीबीएसई सीनियर सेकेंडरी स्कूल अलाउ करते हैं तो पूरे हिंदुस्तान के अंदर 1 एकड़ का अलाउ होना चाहिए ताकि लोग उसके अंदर काम कर सके। फिर जो मास्टर प्लान के अंदर जो स्कूल के यूज की बजाय, कॉलेज की यूज की बजाय उसका एजुकेशनल यूज, लैंड यूज होना चाहिए ताकि उसके अंदर मल्टीपल सिस्टम चल सके और उनका मैक्सिमम यूटिलाइजेशन उस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का हो सके। हिंदुस्तान और दिल्ली जैसा एक एजुकेशनल हब बन सकता है जिसमें सारी दुनिया के बच्चे दिल्ली के अंदर आ सकते हैं, और दिल्ली के अपने बच्चे भी आज नहीं पढ़ पा रहे क्योंकि उनको लैंड कमी की वजह से कॉलेजेस नए नहीं बन पा रहे, उनको बाहर जाना पड़ता है। मैंने दिल्ली गवर्नमेंट को भी ये सुझाव दिया था कि हम स्कूल के अंदर दूसरी पारी में टेक्निकल कोर्सेज चलाने की परमिशन दें, गवर्नमेंट स्कूल्स के अंदर भी और प्राइवेट स्कूल्स के अंदर भी। चाहे हम हायर एजुकेशन इवनिंग में कर सकते हैं, हम टेक्निकल कोर्सेज कर सकते हैं, हम स्किल डेवलपमेंट के कोर्सेज कर सकते हैं, हम खेती से संबंधित कोर्सेज कर सकते हैं। अनेकों ऐसे कोर्सेज हैं जिनको करने से समाज के सबसे निम्न वर्ग को भी लाभ होगा और उच्च कैटेगरी का समाज के जो लोग आज बहुत सारी विदेशों के अंदर अपना रुख कर रहे हैं उनको भी हिंदुस्तान में अपनी जगह मिलेगी।
बिल्कुल सर, बेहद ही महत्वपूर्ण सुझाव आपने दिया। आप हमसे जुड़े, आपने हमसे बेहद ज़रूरी बातें की। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद राज्यसभा टीवी से जुड़ने के लिए।
जय।
Let's move on to the next question, and this one has been asked by 4 members. Member Sukram Singh Yadav, Member Chaya Verma, Member Vishama Prasad Deshad, and Member Udayansh Bhosle. And this question is to the Ministry of Finance. And these members have sought details about the steps taken by the government to prevent corruption in the country in the last 3 years.
A reply to this question is given by Minister of State for Finance, Anurag Singh Thakur. The minister says Government of India is committed to zero tolerance against corruption and has taken several measures to combat corruption and improve probity and accountability of government institutions. The steps taken by central government include systematic improvement and reforms to provide transparent, citizen-friendly services and reduce corruption. These include disbursement of welfare benefit directly to citizens under various schemes of government in transparent manner through direct benefit transfer initiative, implementation of e-tendering in public procurement, introduction of e-governance and simplification of procurement and system, introduction of government procurement through government marketplace, discontinuation of interviews in recruitment of Group B and Group C post in Government of India, invocation of FR 56J and AIS DCRB rules 1958 for prematurely retiring officials whose performance has been reviewed and found unsatisfactory. The All India Services Disciplinary and Appeal Rules and Central Civil Services Classification, Control and Appeal Rules have been amended to provide strict timelines in the procedure related to disciplinary proceedings. The Prevention of Corruption Act 1988 has been amended on 26th of July 2018 to bring a paradigm shift in tackling corruption in as much as clearly criminalizing the act of giving bribe, checking big-ticket corruption by creating a vicious liability in respect of senior management of commercial organizations where the act of giving bribe is with the consent or connivance. issue of instructions by Central Vigilance Commission asking the organization to adopt integrity pact in major procurement activities and to ensure effective and expeditious investigation wherever any irregularity, misconduct is noted. The institution of Lokpal has been operationalized by appointment of chairperson and 8 members, including 4 judicial members. Lokpal is statutory mandated to directly receive and independently process complaints as regards alleged offences against public servant under Prevention of Corruption Act 1988. In addition, the CVC as an apex integrity institution has adopted multi-pronged strategy and approach to combat corruption, which encompasses punitive, preventive and participative vigilance. The above interventions have led to substantial improvement in probity in public life. Well, moving on to next question of this edition of the show. The question was asked by Dr. Bandha Prakash from Ministry of Corporate Affairs. The member saw details of expenditure made by private sector and public sector in terms of corporate social responsibility, in terms of mitigating the COVID-19 crisis.
Well, the government has roped in the private sector to mitigate the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and this response has been given by MOS Corporate Affairs Anurag Singh Thakur. He goes on to say that as per the Companies Act 2013, companies are required to hold annual general meetings within 6 months from the end of financial year. Thereafter, financial statements and board report containing disclosure about corporate social responsibility are to be filed in MCA 21 within 30 days of the AGM. Thus, for the ongoing financial year, no filing has been made by CSR mandated companies. Ministry, via General Circular Order dated 23rd of March 2020 clarified that CSR funds may be spent for various activities related to the COVID-19 pandemic. It included promotion of healthcare, preventive healthcare and sanitization and disaster management. Further, Companies Rules 2014 were amended to enable companies to undertake CSR activities in their normal course of business for undertaking research and development of new vaccine, drugs and medical devices related to COVID-19 for 3 financial years in collaboration with any of the institutes or organizations mentioned in the schedule of the Act. And moving on to the next question, and this one has been asked by member Vijay Pal Singh Tomar, and this question is to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. And the member has questioned the government on improving the health infrastructure in the country.
Well, an elaborate reply has been given to this query by Minister of Health and Family Welfare, Harshvardhan. The ministry says public health in hospitals being a state subject, the primary responsibility of providing accessible, affordable and quality health care, including setting up of new hospitals, upgradation and strengthening of existing health facilities, lies with the state governments. Under National Health Mission, however, financial and technical support is provided to states and UTs for strengthening their healthcare systems, including for expansion of public health institutions such as district hospitals, community health centers, primary health centers and sub-health centers, as well as for deployment of human resources to cater to public health services to all. Under Ayushman Bharat initiative, the government is committed to setting up of 1.5 lakh health and wellness centers across the country by December 2022. Sufficient resources have been provided to the states for creation of the same, and as many as 57,017 health centers have become functional so far, taking primary healthcare services to the community. So far, more than 35 crore footfall have been recorded at the healthcare centers, and screening for ailments like hypertension, diabetes, oral cancer, breast cancer and cervical cancer have been carried out for a total of approximately 9 crore people in the community. With the rapid expansion of health and wellness centers, the patients load at public hospitals for minor ailments, which constitutes a significant proportion of the total patient load, will be addressed, thereby decongesting public hospitals and improving the overall quality of health care at the public hospitals. Apart from this, states are also being supported under the NHM for expansion of capacities like through provision of extra hospital beds, ICUs and HDUs, free diagnostics and free drugs, medicines, whichever are necessary. Under the National Quality Assurance Program of Ministry, public health facilities are certified according to best in-class norms for quality of patient-centric services. The government is committed to strengthening infrastructure of healthcare facilities by augmenting efforts of the state based on their proposals received through Program Implementation Plan. Accordingly, the Prime Minister Atmanirbhar Bharat Swasthya Bharat Yojana has been announced for developing capacities of primary, secondary and tertiary care health system, strengthening existing national institutions and creating new institutions to cater to detection and cure of new and emerging diseases. This will be in addition to National Health Mission. The main interventions under the schemes are support for 17,788 rural and 11,024 urban health and wellness centers, setting up integrated public health labs in districts and 3,382 block public health units in 11 states, establishing critical care hospital blocks in 602 districts and 12 institutions, strengthening of National Center for Disease Control, its 5 regional branches and 20 metropolitan health surveillance units, expansion of integrated health information portal to all the states and UTs to connect all public health labs, operationalization of 17 new public health units and strengthening 33 existing public health units at point of entry, that is 32 airports, 11 seaports and 7 land crossings, setting up 15 health emergency operation centers and 2 mobile hospitals, setting up of National Institution of One Health, a regional research platform for WHO Southeast Asia region, 9 biosafety level 3 laboratories and 4 regional national institutions for virology. The Free Drug Services Initiative launched by NHM in 2015 ensures adequate supply of medicines in public hospitals, healthcare facilities. The initiative aims to supplement the efforts of state towards making available free drug to healthcare seekers at all level of public health system. Apart from this, Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Prayojana is being implemented for ensuring availability of quality generic medicines at affordable prices. Well, moving on to the next question that was asked by member KP Munuswamy from Ministry of Power. The member saw details of how government or the DISCOMs ensure uninterrupted power supply to major institutions.
Well, this response has been given by Power Minister R.K. Singh. And he goes on to say that the Electricity Act 2003 empowers the state electricity regulatory commissions to specify standards of performance of a license or a class of licensees in consultation with the licensees and persons likely to be affected. Electricity Rights of Consumers Rules 2020, notified by Ministry of Power on 31st of December 2020, provides that the distribution licensee shall supply 24/7 power to all consumers except agriculture consumers. As informed by the Government of Tamil Nadu, 24/7 power supply is maintained throughout the state of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu also has a total installed generation capacity of 31,906 megawatts, which is sufficient to meet the demand of the consumers. The government further says that commissioning of ongoing power projects, additional capacity of 800 megawatts in 2021-22, 2,640 megawatts in 2020-22-23, and 2,760 megawatts in 23-24 will be added to the electricity grid. This will meet the future requirement of power of the state of Tamil Nadu. The government further says that as informed by the Government of Tamil Nadu, the cost of the power projects which are under execution is met by availing loan from the financial institutions like Power Finance Corporation or Rural Electrification Corporation. And moving on to the last question of this edition of the Question Hour show, and this one has been asked by member Suresh Prabhu. And this question is to the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. And the member has asked about the steps taken by the government to improve medal tally of India in international games.
Well, reply to this query was given by Minister of State for Sports and Youth Affairs, Kiran Rijiju. In the reply, the ministry says preparation of Indian sports person teams for international events is an ongoing process. In order to improve India's performance in international sports events including Olympics, Asian Games and World Championship, a number of schemes are being implemented by government which aims at talent research and development, competitive exposure, coaching and training. The central government is playing a pivotal role for promoting high performance in sports. Under the scheme of assistance to National Sports Federation, financial assistance is provided for conduct of national championships, conduct of international tournaments in India, participation of sports person in international sports competitions, organizing coaching camps, engagement of foreign coaches and procurement of sports equipments. Under National Sports Development Funds, financial assistance is provided for customized training of elite athletes included in Target Olympic Podium Scheme. Under Target Olympics Podium Scheme, the government is extending all requisite support to probable athletes for the upcoming Olympic Games and Paralympic Games, including foreign training, international competition, equipment, services of support staff and personals.
So that's all we had for you in this edition of Question Hour. Thanks for watching and stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, that's it and thank you. Goodbye.